Okay, we're good.
Okay, so I put 46 on there mainly because I think it's more just like my personal feeling. I think the past few days it's pretty clear like what Mikhail and Giannis are working on. Um, but what do you think's the best way to communicate that going forward? So it's
Yeah.
yeah.
So you guys have 2 week milestones, and we are going to have 2 week milestones as well. So I think the best thing is to meet, once every 2 weeks and just get we could even do it once a week because I was thinking of splitting ours into once a week tasks to make sure that we're really hyper focused on what it is we should be working on, and then just talk about what your goals are. I currently have 3 positions that are open. So in terms of this stuff, our goal is to finish the Zendesk part of that issue, then work on the FTC one, and then from what I understand is to get everything towards the Snowflake loader, to like go move everything towards that. So we have a bunch of extractors that just are the old extractors. So SFTC, we're going to have to make that into a tap or use the current tap and make sure that that works. And if it doesn't, make it work. And so SFTC is the highest priority. And then we could talk about what the next priority is in that line, but I imagine that they all have to happen.
Yeah,
Okay.
there are a couple of priorities. We're going to talk about them in this meeting. That I see.
And just to be clear, I think it's more. I maybe personally have trouble disambiguating things that we're talking about, Jacob, that are like things we're keeping aware of, but aren't immediate priority. So like our the DAG conversation from this morning.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I do want to be a part of those, but I think I'm struggling to just separate in my mind. Is this a priority for the Meltano team, or is this just something we're kind of poking at in the distance versus like what's the immediate, what are we doing this week? What's the next week plan? And so on and so forth.
Yeah. No, so the goal right now, we're completely filled up with the goal right now, which is to get the Mikhail's working on the Zendesk issue to get that finished. Once he's done that, he's going to start working on the SFTC extractor and get that in good nick to work with Snowflake. And then Giannis.
Never heard the phrase good nick.
You never heard that?
No.
Oh, I think it's an English term, or from the UK.
It's not French for sure.
I think it's from the UK. British? Is that how you say that? British.
England.
Got it.
Yeah. In good shape. And then so Giannis, once he's back, we're trying to get the Snowflake loader once he's feeling better and out of his I was trying to come up with the funny enough. Okay, once Giannis is feeling better, then we'll get the Snowflake loader merged, and then Giannis can start working on the next thing that's after SFTC, which I was going to talk to you about. So I'm just taking these things one at a time to make sure, rather than laying out like a 2-week milestone, which I can do. I'm just trying to see what like the highest priority things are and just like getting them next.
Yeah. So Giannis and I've talked about, he's on like the data team side. I've assigned him to, past the Snowflake loader, there's basically 2 main themes. There's DBT docs, which is spinning that and getting that up and running. And then NetSuite DBT models, which I think makes sense for him to work on. So, yeah, so I think we're good from there. I'm just, maybe it's just more like a management / CI.
And a couple additions that Chase wants. So a couple of additional tables that he wants us, 2 additional entities that he wants supported. So maybe I will have to focus a little bit more on those things the next week.
Yeah.
But we can talk about that, Jake.
Yeah, and so I think maybe it'd be good for you and I to get together. I don't know if you're around today, like if you're available today.
Is you, me, or Giannis?
Oh, you, Taylor. You.
Okay.
To talk about like what the next 2 weeks should look like. And then in terms of for Thomas, for the other half of Thomas, the next big thing is to get the CLI in good shape to make sure that the CLI is working, properly. And so right now I'm working on getting it so that it follows that path that we just outlined in the README. And so, depending on what's available, once we talk about it, Thomas could either, and I know we have the Marketo. Now the Marketo one, is that done? That's.
I think Kyle has an MR on it that I need to check.
Okay. So once that's good, then we just got to find out what the next thing is in terms of extractors that we want to move over, and then just getting the CLI in shape.
Okay.
And then at the same time, I should have a front-end person that's joining relatively soon, within the next 2 weeks. And so with that, then we're going to start to move and try and match a lot of this functionality on the front end. And that we also decided to hire, or I decided to hire a UX person as well. So once we can get the UX person in, we're going to try and get a really nice looking UI for this and focus on the CLI functionality of it, replicating that in a user interface, and then move towards the replacing Looker.
Yeah, I think that the first thing the UI should do is like give you a sense of like progress and like monitoring.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you have to like trigger stuff manually via the CLI, having just a UI that tells you what happened is always good.
Yeah, that's good. So yeah, that's the big plan right now.
Okay.
But you and I can get together and we'll figure out the next step for the extractors.
Okay. I'm just personally less excited right now about any of the front end stuff, and I'll certainly help you out and give you opinions on that. But like just hammering it away, like I care about the data movement and the pipelines and stuff.
Right. That's why I'm getting a separate front end guy to not even focus. Like I want to make sure that Giannis and Mikhail and Thomas, half of Thomas can focus, half of Giannis and half of Thomas. So Yamis can work on the sorry, can work on the stuff that's most important to the data team, like full time, and that's all we're going to focus on right now.
Okay.
I don't want to completely stall on the UI and like never touch that yet. So I want to just start to go in that direction.
Yeah. So Taylor, do you think it'd be helpful if we opened up kind of like a meta issue or an umbrella issue in the Meltano repo that basically listed out all the extractors that need to get kind of fixed up? So
what I'm doing, I have the Snowflake Epic, so I'm just going to do it there. And I like on my list today is to open up a bunch of issues and make it clear, like, for this migration to Snowflake to be complete, these are the things that need to happen, and then I think some more issues will spawn from that.
Yeah, I think that's going to be easier. Like it's just easier when you submit MRs and stuff. Like and probably it's going to need like one MR in Meltano and one like corresponding MR in Analytics, like to trigger the job actually. So yeah, it's easier like that.
Thomas, does that cover what you're looking for?
Yeah, for sure. I think it'd be easier for us as an analytics team to like we have OKRs, and I feel like the analytics team doesn't take stuff only 2 weeks at a time. So it'd be nice to see like a quarter-long plan for the Meltano team, as opposed to just like, this is what we're doing for 2 weeks and we have no idea what we're doing after that until you tell us. So for us to give them a layout of kind of what we want them to work on for the rest of the quarter, I think would be good, and kind of just to also track their progress on it.
Yeah, I mean, to be clear, there is a plan to finish the rest of the Snowflake stuff, to finish the rest of that. It's just a question of what order we go in for that. That is the immediate future, right, Taylor? Because that's the thing that's most important to you, is to finish the migration over to Snowflake, right?
Yeah, I think like the first thing we should do is like Zendesk plus Snowflake, because like we have Zendesk running. Well, it seems to run, and then you add the target Snowflake. So if you have that, or you already have data sets, and then we can just add other extractors to it. Like, unless the extractor, the tab does something wrong, it should work, because we have this like proof of concept running already, and
Well, yeah, I mean, you've got the Zendesk tap and then the Marketo tap. Those should be the first two, and then
Yeah, but the market of that is like we just built it, so like we know that Tap Zendesk works because it's used. But Marketo, like it probably works, but I would not like go ahead and use a brand new tab with a brand new target. I would use like a tab that is working and a new target, and then do the permutations that we need to do. Combination.
So, yeah, and the main point here is that for the Snowflake migration to be complete, I think we just want to make sure we have a list of all the extractors that we need to move over and make them work. And then I think your preference in order that we should go in, I think is the best way to move forward. I think that's going to take more than 2 weeks.
Oh, for sure. And yeah, we can have a separate meeting about
let's do that.
Priorities of the extractors.
Sounds good.
And then I would say like the next big thing is if Meltano is going with Airflow, which is my understanding, is that correct?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So then what that looks like because David Team's going to move to Airflow, probably not this quarter. But this is a bigger discussion of like, what does that migration path look like? Are we using like the Meltano kind of run Airflow, or are we just spinning up Airflow on a compute engine in GCP ourselves? How were we thinking about that?
Yeah, well,
I think the goal is to get everything working with the CLI as a first step. And so if we can get the CLI, if we can get you on the CLI using Airflow, then I think that's the best first step. But what we need to do is map out how we're migrating to.
I think like there's 2 ways, like on top of my head, there's like 2 ways this needs to be implemented. The first way is like locally just running Airflow, but having this kind of straight pipeline that does everything just locally, extract the data and then model it and then whatnot. So you just run the DAG locally and then have this kind of other execution path where Airflow scheduler does it for you. So I think that what we're gonna do first is like probably create like what Meltano DAG looks like, and then just have it run sequentially. And then with Thomas, we'll probably look into like how should we use a scheduler to like redo that, but on the cluster. Was that clear?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
High level, though, I think we'll put together an issue and we'll
yes.
Lay out that path, and we can start talking about that. Because I'd rather if the data team, is moving to Airflow, and we're doing Airflow, then we should set it up so that you can just join our Airflow situation first, rather than.
Yes, I think so.
We should align so that happens.
We should probably spearhead this migration actually.
To Airflow. Yeah.
Yes, to Airflow. So you would not like migrate to Airflow by yourselves. You would like migrate to Meltano actually, like using Meltano, and then like GitLab Analytics would become a Meltano project.
I think that makes sense. We just need to honestly start planning now for that to happen, for it to be successful. So
yes,
I think the big part of that is going to be having the CLI in good shape to accept whatever it is that you needed to accept. So let's talk about this, and you and I can get together after this, and we can Taylor, you and I can get together after this, or whenever you're available today. And Thomas, just so you are aware, I don't know if you saw the update to the README, which I linked somewhere. I listed out the project, the organization of the project. In the README, it's under how Meltano does version control. And it lists basically what our plan is for any project that would use Meltano. And you can go through that, and you can, if you want to, if you have any feedback on that, definitely create an issue, or I can create an issue and we can talk about it or whatever.
Okay, yeah, cool. I'll look through that.
Great. Awesome.
I just want to make sure that we go through some points.
Yeah, I'm going to the next point here.
All right.
I'm going to delete number 43 because I think we solved that. I have a demo project that I'm currently working off of, which my goal is to get that demo project working in the way that the data team sees reasonable, and we'll talk about that. Thomas, so I think we can delete number 42.
No, not right now. There's a point. I added B, which is Airflow wants idempotent jobs, and Singer taps and targets are not. So we need to schedule this issue at some point. Because if we're all into using Singer taps and targets and Airflow, we need to make the two work together.
So we talked to Singer about this, right? And
yes,
they asked if we could make a PR for them.
Yes, exactly.
So do you want me to make that PR? Who do you think would be the best person to make that PR?
I don't like, we just need to plan that. Like, this needs to be planned before, like, we're using Singer for everything and before we start moving to Airflow.
Right. Well, I think the first thing is to see if we can get Singer on our side on this.
Yes.
If we can, I think that's a really good thing. So I think we need to make that PR that they asked us to make. Like, I can make it today if you want.
Yeah. Although if we're spearheading this Airflow transition, then I guess that we can also like plan so that we make this as part of this migration, because that tells me that we're not going to use idempotent jobs for the current pipelines, right, Thomas?
Yeah. That's correct.
All right. So maybe this is less critical than what I thought it would be, because I thought that data team was actually working on making Airflow a thing. So if not, we can probably postpone that, but we need to keep aware of that.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, we're not worrying about Airflow until, I mean, at the earliest, we're done with all the Snowflake stuff. But yeah, this is an issue. And like the way I got around this before was I just wrote, like I was using Target Stitch, but all my taps were custom that I just built that functionality in. But if we could actually get Singer to add this, that would be awesome, because this is definitely...
the plan here is to have Singer on our side and modify the spec so that people implement this for us.
Right, because we have two choices. Like at a certain point, we're going to wind up either forking Singer, and like the longer we can keep them on our side, I think is the better option.
Also, I think it's sensible, like when you talk with people around the Singer community, everybody is like, yeah, idempotent jobs are useful. So I think they're not going to be, they're going to like this change.
Is there anything in 41 we need to cover?
Wait a sec. Yeah, well, project repo. I think you're building this, right? So.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And I'm working on the 1 week sprints right now. So we
should be 2 weeks, right?
I'm going to split ours into 1 week, and we're going to follow the data team's 2 week sprints. So it'll just be like double time. We won't erase it because it has not happened yet. Let's go to any data team items on here. I don't see any data team items except until we get to like 30. And I think that's an old one, right? So data team, is there any others that you want to talk about?
I don't have anything.
I'm good.
Okay. Taylor?
I think he stepped away for a minute.
Yeah, he stepped away for a minute.
Well, we can wait. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, good. I will get together with Taylor and we'll plan the next items in far into the future, what we want to do. But does that seem like a good plan? I think if we spearhead the Airflow initiative and the Snowflake initiative, then your migration into Airflow should just be working with Meltano CLI in theory.
Yep, in theory.
In theory, and only in theory. Good. Anybody got anything else?
One request from my point of view. When Jacob merged the merge request for Snowflake, if you can test it with the two tabs so that we can find problems and try to fix them, it will be great.
Mhm.
So we should, as soon as possible, test it because there should be errors there. There should be problems. So the earlier we test it with the two tabs we have, the earlier we will see the problems and fix them.
Mhm.
Yeah, I already have like the merge request that I added for Snowflake uses your branch. So if this image already have your target install. So
Okay.
yeah, we could do testing like now.
It's ready for merging. So Jacob has to just do a final review, and if he's okay, in a couple of hours, most probably it will be there, so we can use the final one.
Yeah, the main thing about Snowflake, I didn't find any Docker image that spins like Snowflake easily. Maybe somebody can find that. It would be great, like having a local. I don't even know if that can you do that, having like a local Snowflake database.
No, it's closed source.
Yeah, so and you can't. How do you test that? You have like a sandbox instance.
Yeah, you have to actually connect and then just connect to a test schema.
All right. So where are these informations located? Like I can run this test if we want, but I just need the connection strings for
In that case,
Snowflake.
I'm not sure where those credentials live. I can double check. They might be in 1Password.
Most probably they are in 1Password. Taylor should know. Let me check.
Yeah, it's okay. Like just ping me on Slack. The thing here is that we're gonna have to think about how we're gonna test that, like automatically at some point.
Yeah, and I think that Taylor and Thomas and should tell us exactly which schema we should use for testing. So,
Yes.
for example, at the moment I use something like test Snowflake, but let's decide on the database. Maybe we should create a new database for testing.
Yeah, I would create a
not use
database
Snowflake.
and probably a schema per run, but that's my. All right.
We can make a Meltano database. I don't really care.
Yeah, we can create a Meltano database, and we're gonna create schemas in it. If you could just like send me these credentials, so I can.
They are in
1Password.
in the Meltano vault.
My bad.
So everything is there.
All right, I'm gonna use.
Okay, great. Thanks, everyone.
Cool. Thank you.
Taylor, I'll connect with you after.
Bye.
Bye.